creepy guy making widely inappropriate comments while I was trying to fish. I'm 24F, and I decided to spend my day fly fishing on the river with some of my friends. What started as a pretty common day of fishing ended up being a very uncomfortable one. My friends and I hit the river a little bit before noon. We have a specific spot that we usually go to that isn't frequented very often, but due to the weekend, they did have more people than normal. Not as much in comparison to other areas, but still more than usual. There were 4 of us in total, but we scattered around the river bank. For the most part, one had eyes on everyone though. Right next to where I had my stuff set up, a gentleman decided to lay his own stuff down and even set up a folding chair near mine. I was fishing, so I didn't really care. But after I caught one, I went to put it on ice, and that's when this guy initiated conversation. He introduced himself and I gave him my name, but didn't offer much more. He started making small talk, which I'm not a fan of. I never know what to say. I grabbed a beer from one of our ice chests, and he asked if he could bum one. I feel that was a bit of a rude question, but I gave him one as a good gesture because it was a holiday weekend. We always usually end up making friends with somebody, and offering a beer or two is usually one of our customs as a group, so this wasn't extremely off. But people generally wait until we offer is the point in getting at. I got back in the river and cast my line out. He stood about 5 feet away from me and kept talking. I listened to him, not that I had much choice, but gradually started moving away from him. He kept following me, which is a big no-go for me. He started making some very inappropriate comments and asked some very inappropriate questions. Some are as follows: do you have a boyfriend? He'll probably be a lesbian after this. Are you wearing a push-up bra? I'm wearing waders, so how the hell can you possibly get that inaccurate information? When was the last time you did the dirty? Probably more recently than you did. What's the biggest you've ever had? In this river? About a 10-pound largemouth. Duh, I know what you mean and I'm not biting. You want to go and have some fun. I was having plenty of fun before you showed up. I got tired of the questions and him not taking the hint, so I moved downstream where one of my guy friends were. I told him the guy was bugging me and I needed to find a new spot. My friend started waddling out of the river to go talk to him, but he had moved away by that time. With the guy gone, we were able to continue fishing in peace. After a couple more hours on the river, we collected our belongings and headed back to the parking lot of the fly shop we parked at. Moving all of our gear back and forth took about an hour by itself. And in that time, I noticed that the creep was still around. I told my friend about him again, but I stopped him and my other friend from going over to him. Didn't seem worth the trouble. Plus the guy stood at about 6'4" to 6'5" based on my observations, and I just didn't want anyone getting hurt on my behalf. After about another hour we all parted ways for the time being, but we're going to meet up later to cook our catch. I went into the fly shop to grab a Coke, which left me as the only remaining one from our group. This is where the story gets scarier in my opinion. I was at my truck and had removed my waders and threw them in the back. Then I grabbed a t-shirt from my bag to change into. Lo and behold, look who walks up. Here my dumbass is alone in a parking lot and not close enough to the shop to go for help. And this creep says fire titties and then refers to my shorts as coochie cutters. He was getting dangerously close to me, so I told him to get away. When he continued, I officially felt threatened. Thankfully, your girl packs heat, and I grabbed my pistol from my truck door and gave him .45 reasons that he would be making a mistake. He immediately turned around and said he was just joking. He then proceeded to speed walk back towards the tree line. So yeah, there I was. Boots, shorts, and a sports bra, pointing a .45 at the ground and threatening a creep. Wouldn't Daddy be proud of his little girl? I drove away, feeling surprisingly normal, but pulled over at one point and started crying. I hate crying. It's such a girl thing, kidding. I pulled into a gas station on my way home when I saw a wildlife and fisheries agent, where I explained the encounter and filed a report. He told me that he would contact the sheriff's office, who did reach back out to me this morning, where I filed a separate report. Unfortunately, I know how police reports go, and I know this guy won't be investigated. But I think I dodged a bullet, and so did he. From now on, I'll be sure to keep company with me until I'm ready to leave. Is my coworker a creep? I'm F for context. So basically I have this worker at my job who looks to be mid-40s, and ever since I started working there he's been acting really strange, like I barely hug him, just side hugs, and he tightens his grip then releases me. Then sometimes I'll be alone just working and he'll just come over and we talk about stuff and he stares at my chest for a couple of seconds before looking back at my eyes, but what has me really creeped out is that he told me to pick up my pants, then stood there while watching me pick up my pants, and this one time he needed something, I forgot what it was, but he walked up to me even though another coworker basically shouted at him while he was walking towards me that we don't have the product. And I've caught him one time taking a picture or video of me, then he just looked defeated because I saw him realize he'd been caught, but I've been avoiding him, or I'll go where there's other coworkers around so that way if he does something inappropriate then other people see it, and anytime I do see him I just walk away from him and pretend there's a customer needing help or I need to do something which I can tell he doesn't like it. Creep following me in the dark. Well, this happened to me just this morning. I don't know if this is a big deal, but here we go. I walk to the bus stop every morning to go to work, around 6 a.m., and today was a particular dark morning. It was freezing and had been raining. My street is the last one in the neighborhood. Behind my street it's just the woods, northwest house, or street, and for the 7 months I've been working there's northwest one in my street that go out for work at the same time as me. Only one guy in the next street that sometimes go out in a hurry, so today I was walking, just had crossed my street, and all of a sudden I hear a noise not too far from me, and when I turn back there's like an older guy, I'm F23, trying to walk silently behind me. Doesn't looks like he's going to work, there's no backpack with him and not even an umbrella, it was raining. Apparently he got out of my own street, like he's waiting for me to get out of the house. He was walking slow, but when I started to walk faster I looked behind me and he was walking faster too. So I kinda run a little, terrified with my little teaser that I always carry in my backpack, until I get to the bus stop, where some guys always wait for the bus with me. I waited to see the creep showing up in front of the bus stop. If he was going somewhere, he would pass the bus stop. There's no other way to go out, but he never did. I guess he gave up when I ran, and the worst part is, there's an old creep in my neighborhood that was in jail for being a serial rapist in like the 90s. He served his sentence and today is a free man, but like, last month he was asking my mom to take care of our garden and he keep creeping around the house when my dad's out for work. I don't know if was him today, because it was dark, but he's the first one that I can think of. Guy who followed me around a thrift store. I went to a local thrift store today to check out some bookcases or TV stands since I just moved into a new place and need new furniture. I was checking out a bookcase and looking for a tag. Sometimes they're in strange places, so I did a little hop to see if I couldn't see one. A man to the right of me says, "What are you looking for up there?" At first I didn't pay him any mind and did a courteous chuckle in his direction. I winded myself through the little maze of bookshelves and random furniture and didn't think anything of it until I happened to be able to see over a piece and he was staring at me. I kept maneuvering through the store and everywhere he appeared. I picked up something and was looking at it, and all of a sudden he was right there and was about to say something. I went to the other side of the store. All of a sudden he's there, asking me if I had a restaurant recommendation in the area. I said no. I turned around and moved my knife from my purse to my back pocket hoping he'd notice. Apparently he didn't, because back in another corner, he's there again. I call my partner and this finally seems to get him to move away. He kept going around to random spots and picking up objects and staring at me. I stayed on the phone and my partner said I should just leave, but I didn't want to. I had a purpose being there and I wasn't going to let him ruin it. Luckily he finally departed without buying anything. I tried to keep an eye out when he left, but I didn't see exactly if he drove off or not, so I was a little spooked when leaving. Luckily I bought a table, so someone escorted me to my truck with it. To this dude, "Please leave us alone. We're just shopping. I'm not here for you." The creepy follower. Hello, this happened tonight and I'm not sure how to process the whole situation. I was driving home from a friend's house and I was taking the freeway, but I was driving carefully since it was raining pretty hard. Driving home was going to take at least 30 minutes but turned to almost an hour ride because of the rain. I was about 10 minutes away when I noticed this gray Chrysler van acting off. We were at an intersection about to turn left, but the light was still red. I was behind him, and the thing is, at the intersection, there are 2 lanes that allow you to turn left. We were both on the second lane when all of a sudden, he awkwardly decided to slowly change lanes to the one beside me and almost ran the red light. I could tell he hit his brakes hard, and I thought that was weird, or that maybe the dude was drunk. When the light turned green, I proceeded with caution because he was giving me weird feeling. I was about 6 minutes away from home at this point when all of a sudden, he turned on his emergency light on. I could see that he was pulling over to the shoulder, so I slowed down, and since we were driving on one lane, I proceeded with caution and slowly passed him. Keep in mind, it was nighttime and raining a lot, so not a lot of cars were around us. As soon as I passed him, I looked at my front view mirror and saw that he turned off his emergency lights and started to follow behind me. I felt off about it. While driving, I saw he was flashing his lights and thought that maybe my lights were off. But that's not possible because I could still see the light projecting from my car onto the road. At this point, I'm thinking he is just messing with me, but that's when I noticed he started to tailgate me. He almost hit me like 3 times and I started to panic. At this point, I knew I had to get away from him. For a second I thought I was being dramatic, but every time I would lane change, he would lane change too. I managed to speed off and take the exit off the freeway. I was less than a minute away now, but I didn't go home yet. I parked by a construction building near my house and decided to wait a bit to see if he followed me off the freeway. Thankfully he didn't, and I waited at least 5 minutes to make sure. After that, I was able to go home safely. I told my boyfriend what had happened and we double-checked that my car was okay. The lights were in fact working, and so did my tail lights. There was nothing wrong with my car and nothing for the dude to have any reason to flash his lights at me. I was really freaked from the whole situation. I'm not sure what I did to make him act the way he did. I just hope no one encounters that crazy man out in the streets.